All right, we're live. Hey, internet people. Give a few minutes for people to filter in here for the live stream. I'm live streaming the install of the E3D Hemera hot end and extruder combo into a RailCore 2 today. My little workroom here is a total mess, so for that in the background, and obviously I have the YouTube video up in front of me, which is not professional, but I don't have a lot of space, so that's the joy of live streaming. So I'm going to give it a second here for people to filter in. Some parts I printed while I get this going. So I printed a fan duct designed by James Tung. He's awesome. It's a great fan shroud for the RailCore. Need that for the Hemera. Along with that, there's an adapter to fit that in. Got a pair of those because I print them two at a time. Some shims, got a handful of those. And then some parts from Wade at Mandala Roseworks. He has a little spacer and cable management and BLTouch mat. So I have all of that and a couple extra shims here. I printed to prepare. Hey guys, I see a couple people joining. Bao just asked about the advantage of the Hemera. So the main advantage, it's kind of like the arrow, and I have an arrow here I can compare. Got that in this handy bag here. Let me pull it out. So here's the arrow. If you're familiar with it, the Hemera is kind of an evolution of this. So the arrow was E3D V6 hot end. See that there? Paired with a direct extruder. So the extruder gear is here. The V6 block is here. It's a very short path, barely longer, or probably about the length of the entire V6. You can compare that too. So it brought your filament path down closer. The Hemera brings it down even further still. So your filament path is extremely short, and the heat break seats into a massive cooling area that has some nice ductwork around it to keep the air from circulating around the hot end so much. So in theory, better prints in any material, but the prints people are getting in TPU and flexibles, on a V6, you might print TPU at 20 millimeters a second or so. On a RailCore, at least, I've seen people printing TPU at 60 and 70 millimeters a second on the Hemera. So definitely great for flexibles, but it should be better for pretty much any filament. Because of that short filament path. When you're printing inside of your hot end, the filament acts as a spring. So as the extruder pushes down, it can only extrude so fast, and there's a spring action inside of that filament path between your extruder and your hot end. The shorter you make that, the less of a spring you get. So the shorter retractions, the better effect the retraction has, the tighter you can keep everything contained, and then the heat break should be pretty ideal on this. So we'll see how it does. I'm excited to try it. I've seen some great results from other people, so looking forward to it. So you can see I have three. They say Hermes, but they are the Hemera. E3D had a unfortunate last-minute name change. I purchased 3 from Philistruder, 1 for a RailCore, and 2 will go on the E3D tool changer. I've not cheated at all. These are all still packaged up and ready to go. So I'm going to set two of those aside for the tool changer, which is right behind me. Hey, Jeff. So I'm going to open up one of these now. And this is the other thing I should mention first. So for the RailCore, man, that video is really washed out, at least on my screen. On the RailCore, I'm using the Mandala Roseworks design. Wade is in the chat here. He designed a mounting plate to adapt the Hemera to the RailCore. So I'll be using that beautifully designed piece of aluminum to make this all connect together. So slice open the plastic and see what I have. For support and documentation, visit E3D online. Nice little. So that video is super washed out. You guys even see what I'm doing? Not sure I have control over that. And let me know if I need to speak up or anything. I know that I don't always articulate terribly well. Okay, so here is the Hemera. That is, so right here is the point the heat break attaches. So again, compared to the Titan, you can see same size stepper. That is a very contained, I think it's about the same size. It does pull it in a little closer, but all one solid unit. Should be interesting to see how it works. So that's the Hemera. Yeah, I can try. I don't have a lot of options for where I can put the camera here. Let's just bring it down closer. Sorry for the shaky cam. I'm not one of the big polished YouTubers with 6 different cameras. Is that better? So there's the Hemera itself. Show you guys what that looks like. So this is there's a fan that blows, pushes the air along here, so it scoops it up and keeps it from getting down to the nozzle below. Mounting points here. Nice stepper motor. The stepper is made by LDO, who we get along great with. Okay, open here. I don't know how to open this box. It says open here, but the box just kind of unfolds. Out of the way. So we have just what you'd expect. A heater cartridge, thermistor, fan. The heater cartridge is yellow. Let's see. What is that? That is a 24 volt, 30 watt yellow wire heater cartridge. Interesting. Thermistor wire. Fan. Just making sure. Yep, 24 volt fan. A totally outdated already for me sticker. We'll go ahead and add that to my sticker collection here. Collector's item, indeed. Stepper motor cable. So just to know, I almost definitely won't be able to actually print with this today. I'm putting it on my all aluminum RailCore. The cabling on that printer is very tight. There's not any slack whatsoever. So I probably won't be able to actually complete the wiring during the live stream, so I'll have to print a bunch of wires and replace them. So here's the heat break. Try and get that where you guys can see without all the glare. Very small heat break. That's like a 3 millimeter probably diameter. Much smaller. I mean, yeah, to give it some comparison, here's the heat break next to a nozzle, next to the E3D nozzle. So just give you guys a little bit better view of that. That's the camera's wanting to focus on those either. But yeah, pretty small heat break. Okay, I suppose I should pull up some instructions here, because I did not do that. E3D online.dozuki.com, and what I'll do, I'll move that so I can still see the chat. I see people are talking to me in Discord. I can't monitor Discord and YouTube at the same time. Okay, Hemera assembly guides. I'm gonna go with the Hemera direct assembly. Let's see. I have all those things. Orient the heat block so you have the side with only 2 holes visible. Check. Check. Screw the heat break in from the side with only 2 holes. Okay. Line up the top of the M6 thread section with the top of the heater block. So, and this is how I've always installed V6s in the past. I just screw it in until that is nice and flush to the top. Don't measure anything. Measuring's for other people. I've always wondered why E3D didn't put a small flange to stop that against, because you can still screw the nozzle in against it, but that's okay. Screw the nozzle in from the side with 3 holes. Hopefully you guys can see this okay. Okay-ish. I'm actually not going to use that nozzle. I have one of the nozzle X's here. I'm going to use that. Because I do want to print some hardened material from this and compare that as well. And definitely ask questions as I go. That's why I like live streaming, is for the interaction and the feedback as I go, so I make sure I'm presenting what you guys want. So anything you have questions on, just ask. So hopefully you can see that. Same as V6, no shocker there. So we take one assembled Hemera. I'm not going to pull this apart. There is some very nice gearing inside, but I don't feel a strong desire to rip a Hemera apart without reason right now. I will undoubtedly do that with the other 2, or one of the other 2. Guess I should. Oh, see, I didn't read. You got to apply the thermal paste first. It's an M4 thread on the brake, by the way. And the brake does have a flange to stop it. It seems to me, E3D, Greg, you should add a flange to the heat brake so it stops against the top of the block. Maybe there's a reason why not. Here's the thermal paste. Bit of that on there. Side. Around the threads. Okay, now back to where I was. Not sure if the chat's just not scrolling or nobody has questions. I will say the presentation of the packaging is very nice. I like that. Good job, E3D. Been noticing that more and more in 3D printed stuff of late. And the block stops nicely right there. So that works. Not sure what orientation we need the block in yet. Let's see. It says the final position should be the same as in the second image. No. So I'm guessing I have the nozzle in a little too, not far enough. Yeah, there we go. The stepper is a 1.8 degree stepper. They are looking at swapping to a smaller pancake stepper. I suggested to Sanjay at Earth that they look at the LBO that we use. It's a 0.9. But yeah, that it is a 1.8 degree stepper currently. And it is definitely larger than the ones we use. I have a spare one of those around here for comparison, I think. Somewhere. Yeah, here it is. So here's the 0.9 that we use compared to the one on here. So there's a definite weight savings to be gained from switching to that, as well as the precision. I really like those LBO steppers, so hopefully Sanjay listens to my advice, and I know other people are saying to do the same thing. So yeah, I know that they're looking into that. Okay, so we got the Hemera together. I'm trusting you guys can see what I'm doing, because I'll change that. So just like every other E3D product, you put the thermistor in there, and I'm going to need see how many of these I can use. Use a probe screw. And absolutely zero magic here. It's a standard E3D thermistor and probe screw setup. There we go. Don't crush your thermistor. Okay. So now I would install the. Oh, I see. That's pretty funny. In E3D's documentation, they suddenly have the thermistor pointing the other direction. And then it switches back again. That's hilarious. Yeah, their documentation images are inconsistent on direction of the thermistor and the stepper wire. Yeah, so we're going to install it essentially this direction. So I haven't installed one yet, but yeah, it's gonna mount here somehow. Here, probably like that, right, Wade? And it will sit off to the side of our rail. I don't expect any problems from that, but that's why we're testing. If we wanted to put it centered with our rail, we would have to put it underneath at a cost of considerable Z height. So yeah, it's as close as it can be without being underneath the rail. Hey Tim, glad you could join. Let's see. So I need a heater cartridge, and I'm not going to use the one they sent. Let me dig in my drawer of stuff here and see if I have a nice new one. If not, I can steal one off of my current printer. Oops. That's the sound of me dropping hot ends on the floor. Okay. So I'm going to steal this thermistor from this hot end here. Yeah, when you put it under the rail, then the whole thing is just a really long lever arm. So any deflection at the rail is magnified by the angular distance to the nozzle tip itself. Gotta find a screwdriver or something to split this open a little bit. There we go. Tim, I'm gonna have to get another heater from you. I could use the one they sent, but I use the premium heater cartridges that have the pre-crimped connector on them because I use the connector near my my carriage. So by using this one, I don't have to cut it and crimp a new connector on. The premium ones are supposed to be better somehow, etc., etc. I don't know if that's really true. Might be. I never noticed a major difference from anything other than I really like the pre-made connectors, and they've held up very well. Okay. Center the heater cartridge. I'm not really reading these instructions. It goes together exactly like a V6. Let's sum it up like that. That's in there. One heat sink fan. Here's my fan. Where do they show they want the fan wires exiting? Kind of don't, but it looks like they go this way. And it's interesting to me they use self-tapping screws for the fan. I have no idea why they would choose to do that rather than thread the aluminum there. It's a strange choice to me, but that's E3D for you. I like making fun of E3D. It's a fun hobby. Recommend it to everyone. Just grabbing the screwdriver here. I did almost zero preparation for this live stream, so I apologize again if there's delays. Where did I put my screwdriver? Delays like this one, because I can't find my screwdriver I just had. Oh, it's right here. Yeah, I see zero reason to use a self-tapping screw into an aluminum product that you're gonna remove this fan at some point. It's gonna fail or something. I don't know. Seems odd. unit goes in easy enough. Attaches securely. There we go. I have a Hemera built. Done. All right, so I've got the Hemera built. Construction looks good. There is a little bit of Bowden tubing I can feed in here. I won't need that because the printer I'm putting it on has a rep box above it, and I'll just feed straight from the rep box into the top of the Hemera. But yeah, that was easy enough. It's a nice little hotend. And we'll see which direction I flip those cables around in. So now the fun of how do we install this on a RailCore. It's going to go this direction. So there are no instructions for this yet. So I'm learning this as I go, and Wade can either help or make fun of me as he wants to. So since this is going to mount here, obviously the mounting holes for the MGN12 are here. They're going to be blocked by this, so I need to first mount this on the printer. Since I am using a existing printer, I'm going to have to take some things apart first. Tim, tell Steve to join the chat that I'm live streaming. He's messaging me instead. So I got to swing this camera around here. By the way, RailCore t-shirts, they're awesome. How am I going to mount my camera? I should have thought of this first. Let's balance it on this RailCore, see how this works. How is that view? Fairly bright and washed out. There's a lot of aluminum there. Shiny. Put some Gecko Tech on here, but that didn't help at all. There's really nothing I can do about that amount of glare with this printer. Trying to see if I can reduce glare at all. Actually, you guys need to see this side anyway. Just playing around with the camera positioning here to see if I can improve the glare situation off of all of this aluminum. Hadn't thought of that. And now the cable's not reaching. There, is that better? You guys can see everything? RailCore t-shirts are available from Merch Minion. Yeah, I missed out on the powder coating for this by like 3 days. But if I had gotten it powder coated, I couldn't have taken it to Earth with me, which is what I built it for. So, yeah, I had to pass on the powder coating. Okay, let's try a different mag bed here. See if I can reduce that glare some. Give myself a better background to do this against. I damaged this build surface, but I really liked it. Is that any better? I'm trying here, people. It's all aluminum. It's so shiny. Is that better? It's a little better. Okay. There is a link to the Merch Minion site in the Facebook group, and I'm sure there's one in the Discord somewhere. If you can't find it, we can definitely add that in the YouTube comments after. Cut that. By the way, I mentioned this, but that is my rep box. I just built that thing. It has filament tubes that come down. I just connect them in. I love this thing. I've only had it a couple days now, where I've been using it, and I already want more. It's awesome. Hey, Steve joined. There you go. Okay, so I got to pull this most of my Y carriage apart. Okay, so find the correct tip for this. And we'll start pulling things apart. These little iFixit screwdriver sets are great when you can find all the parts to them, which is about half the time for me, if that. Okay. Step her out. BMG out. I really should have unloaded the filament from this hot end before tearing it apart, but I can heat it up and do that later. I'm going to have like 3 extra BMGs. I have to find something to do with those. That's it. Got to build more printers. Okay. And if you have a RailCore and have taken them apart at all, this is why I recommend the metal hot end mount so heavily. So much easier than pulling apart the printed hot end mount. I have to clip that wire bundle. There. There we go, the hot end's off. Trying to keep an eye on the chat. My no stock has been retired. The aluminum printer here that I'm working on officially retired the no stock, so it is now living out its retirement in the basement. I will scavenge parts off of it at some point and do something with them, but I don't think the Delta is going to print again. Okay, so those are all off. I need to disconnect my BLTouch. If by some miracle these wires are long enough, I will try and print with this tonight, but I highly doubt it. Pull the Y end stop off. I can. Okay, all of that's disconnected. Push back this way a little bit. I gotta pull the fan off of the fan shroud. Oops. I know Phyllis Truder is planning on shipping the RailCore mount for the Hemera in about a week and a half or so, because we have to do some validation. This is, I think, the first one that we'll be printing. Once we've validated these print well and there's no major redesign that has to happen, we'll start going out. And I would expect sometime after that he will add them in the kits, but it won't be right away. There is, I think, a bring your own hot end option to the kits. And if not, Tim will probably work with you. So I'm probably doing this a dumb way, but I'm doing it anyway. I'm just going to leave my entire belt carrier on and unbolt the belt carrier from the Y carriage and remove the Y carriage. Might work. I like to see how little of the RailCore I can take apart when I work on it and still get away with things. So I'm just unbolting my belt retainer from the Y carriage now, and then there's one bolt holding the Y carriage on still. I'll pull that and see how we do. Okay, that's loose. And this one. There we go. The Y carriage is off. I'm still zip tied to it though. Should have cut those already. All right. Cut there. Cut there. There we go. Here's my Y carriage. One giant piece. Great machining by 713 maker too. Let's see here. It's hard to keep up with comments at this point, but I'll check when I can. Okay. So this will bolt on here. By the way, that's a great little testament to how well lined up this belt carrier is. It sits directly over the Y carriage with very little play to it. Naturally, it sags a little in the back, but as soon as you straighten it up, it's dead on over the Y carriage, MGN carriage. Not sure what length of M3 you're recommending there, Wade. Are you saying a 10 millimeter to hold the carriage onto the MGN 12? 8 looks a little short. Let's see here. I think I've got some 10. M310s right here. Maybe. What are these? These are probably 12. Yeah, that's going to be too long. Where's my box of M3 hardware? Okay, hold on a second. Ask some questions while I search out some M3 hardware here. Yeah, Dottis, on the hopefully I'm pronouncing your name right. On the no stock, I finally took it a little too far in my modifications, and it stopped printing reliably at all. I tried to go back to closer to stock and guess at what I had done to it. I never quite figured it out, and then it came time to build another RailCore, and I decided, yep, it's time to just retire it. Okay. I found some M310s here, Wade. I think the 8s look pretty short. There's only about a millimeter and a half sticking out of the back. So let's see how a 10 looks. So yeah, that's a 10 sticking out there. Hopefully you can see that. An 8 to compare. There's a 10 and an 8. The 8 is just barely sticking out. So no, I mean to go to the MG in itself, the carriage block. I think a 10 will work. Where'd my push back over here so you guys can see. Ten's gonna work great. There we go. Where did I put the... Bolt the block back on. So it's the hardest part when you don't take the block all the way off is getting the bolts threaded in, because the belts are in the way. So if you do it this method, be careful not to strip the aluminum. I'm using M3/8 to hold the belt retainer block back on. There's a printed block or the aluminum one. The one thing I've noticed on the aluminum one is it's so much more rigid. It's very easy to over tension your belts without even thinking about it. Compared to the plastic one, there's just not as much feel to it because of it being metal. So I over tension my belts, and I've noticed some people saying they've gotten layer skipping since they went to the aluminum ones. I'm fairly certain that's what's going on. Is it tensions so much easier. It's easy to over tension. Yeah, so while yes, my RailCore is a 250, not a 300 or a 300 ZLT, all the parts are identical other than the size. So, you know, side panels and such are smaller. The halo on this is smaller, the bed's smaller, but it's an identical build. I just personally prefer the 250 size, largely because this room I'm in is so cramped on size. So I'll lose a little Y volume, but that's okay by me. It'll work the same. I don't anticipate any differences there. By the way, one common thing on the RailCore, people complain or comment that we need to reinforce this Y rail. Just to head off the conversation, I do have a aluminum spar on that now. It's a aluminum L bracket that backs that rail. It made no difference at all. Hasn't changed my prints, hasn't helped anything. No change whatsoever, but it is on there. Somebody had made a comment that made it sound like there might have been an improvement for them. Turned out I misread their comment, but I went ahead and tested it again anyway. Same result as every other time, no change. Okay. So the Hemera will mount right here. But before I do that, I'm going to, and I probably should have done this first, I need to put the Endstop on. And that's going to be very hard to do with the mount on the printer. So the question is, will my Endstop even reach? So we'll go back here. That's going to be interesting. Okay, I'll tackle that later. I'm going to pull that stepper motor off because that's no longer needed. I may be able to do this without rewiring. You know what? Go ahead and do that now. Actually, Wade, didn't you say something about the Endstop bolts being too long? Are those holes tapped? They are tapped. I know you said we have to run the bolts through from the back, so I'll do that now. So I'm just clearing the threads here by feeding in the bolt from the back. M2 by 10. I may have some M2 by 10s. If not, I can always get out the Dremel. Get these threads chased first. M2 by 10. And we need to note in, whoops, a bunch of bolts. We need to note in the instructions, you got to mount the end stop to the back of it before you install it, because with the linear rail there, I can't get to the bolts to add the end stop. Let me see if I have M2x10s. M4, Allen 2.5, M2x12s. Just looking through, I have tons of M2 and M3 hardware, M4 hardware, M5 hardware. So I'm just digging through that and see what I have. It's like a little hardware shop of my own here. Self-tapping bolts in various sizes. M3, M3, M3. M4. I have M2.5s by 10. So close. Those are M2s, correct? Yeah, I don't have M2 by 10. Okay, so I can use a Dremel and shorten those easy enough, but that would slow down the live stream a little bit and be very noisy. Do you guys want me to do that, or should I just mount it and show you what it looks like on the printer? Anyway, I'll leave this up to you guys. Should I do what I can to actually make this work tonight? Because it looks like all the wiring will be long enough, or should be. I don't have any M2 washers that I know of. I have a hacksaw right here. Take like 2 seconds with a hacksaw if I can get the length right. Print a spacer. I could. I may have washers. Let me see if I have washers. Actually, I may have M2 washers. I do. And possibly even better, I have at least one M2 nut. I have several of them. Okay, I can make this work. Nope, I got it. I got M2 nuts. I can just put them on underneath the head of the bolt. Got to pull that back off of the Y carriage though. I actually have the M2 nuts that we're holding it on to. Stand on my head. I'm not a headstand kind of guy. I do have an inversion table if you would like. I can go hang upside down on that. I don't know how that helps. Okay. Pull this carriage back off real quick. And the install on a kit RailCore will be different than mine. For anybody that watches this now or in the future, if you're confused as to why yours doesn't match mine, mine is not from a kit, does not have a kit wiring harness. It's all hand assembled, so there are definite differences between the two. Sorry. Okay, so back to my preference for minimal change. Minimal disassembly, I should say. Just pulled those 4 bolts off, and I will try and see if I can make this work. Nope, I'm going to pull that apart. That's going to be frustrating. Just take it apart, Tony. Yeah, I got the inversion table for a back injury, and it is the best thing ever for that, so I love it. I'm just taking the whole plate back off. It'll be quicker than if those bolts are too long. I'm not wasting a bunch of time. Okay, so I assume the goal is to make sure the bolts don't extend all the way through the plate, which an M2x12 with a single M2 nut on it appears like it won't. Yeah, back injuries are the worst. I did not enjoy it. Don't recommend it. Take care of your backs, people. Lift with your legs in a sharp jerking motion. Wait, no, that's not it. Where'd that other M2 bolt go? Okay, this was a great idea until I lost one of them. Short intermission. So anybody that's been around a RailCore at all, or the RailCore channel, knows that Steve and I are both professionals at losing things, even when they're right in front of us. It's what we're good at. At least once a day, one of us messages the other one that we would finish something up if only we hadn't lost something else. Yep, that worked perfectly. So there we go. All tidy and on there. Bolts aren't too long. Back to where I was. going to have the same problem with the BLTouch. I am. Let's tackle that next. Wait, no, the BLTouch mounts from the other side. It'll be fine. Okay, now I'm just going to see how many times I can drop parts of this, including the tip to my screwdriver. Again, be careful not to strip the threads and the aluminum. Easy to do. You'll regret it. Spin the bolt backward is a good trick if it feels at all like it's catching. If all of my wiring fits, that will be a miracle and it will be awesome because I really don't want to redo the wiring on this. I don't know if you all have seen the wiring job I did on this. I'm very proud of it, and I really don't want to redo any of it. I'm missing one M3 by 8. That's it. Okay. Oh, I'm missing it because it's literally hanging out of the back of the belt retainer. And I'm missing another one because it's laying on top of the MGN12. All right. Quick check before I go any further. I'm hitting something that I can move. Okay, so I'm good there. My end stop triggers when it runs into the carriage, so I can proceed. Snug these up. There we go. Okay, so I've got the end stop on. I can bolt my new BLTouch mount onto the BLTouch, which will use shorter bolts than I have on it now. So I'll loosen those up. Wade, what length of bolt did you use for the BLTouch? I assume no spacers. Guess I should ask. Is Wade still around? Or Tim, do you know? We had used a brass insert as a spacer for the BLTouch. I assume that's not needed on this this mount, since it's an adjustable mount. looks like an M3x8 will work for that. Find an M3 washer or two here. I think a 6 will be a little too short on the BLTouch mount. Arm faces towards the back or arm faces towards the front? I assume back. So yeah, M3x6 would be a little short there. That would be for attaching it. Okay. Oh, I was thinking, never mind. I was thinking for mounting it, M3x6 probably is good. Actually, no, that doesn't clear at all. Okay, where'd my bag? I think you want M3x10s there, Wade. You would mount the Hermes first. Okay, let me get the. This BLTouch bracket is a new one that is linked from Wade's site. It's on Thingiverse. It's used specifically for mounting the BLTouch to the Hermes. I'm just going to get the BLTouch installed onto the mount, and then I'll switch gears and mount the Hermes. So yeah, for mounting the BLTouch to the BLTouch mount you modeled, I'm using an M3x10 and it works great. Till you drop it. Grab another M3 washer. If someone, that's a question for Tim, I would guess if someone buys a kit with the Hemera in it, when it's available in a couple weeks, it would come with all of the printed parts to go with the Hemera, I would think. If you have a kit and you buy it with another hotend and switch to the Hemera, you would print the parts before you pull it apart, like I did. Okay, so switching gears back to the Hemera. I've got my Hemera here. And it's going to mount like this. I'm going to have to cut this fan lead at some point and crimp in a different connector because it's got the wrong one on it. E3D. You have existing connectors that we've all wired already. I would give feedback that this fan should terminate into a connector that we can use just like your existing fans, if anybody's watching. I'll give that feedback to Greg. That's not a showstopper. I can run the fan wire separate for now. Okay, so am I going to have to pull that thing back apart, Wade? Because I just realized that the Hemera mounts from the other side, doesn't it? Now it goes this way, but regardless, I'm going to have to put the Hemera on. Oh, they did? Why did they get away from those, Tim? Is there a problem with those connectors? Okay. Well, I haven't had a reliability problem. I can crimp one in. Do I have to take this thing back off to put the Hemera on? I think I do. There's clearance to get to the Hemera screws. Is there? Maybe I can. Maybe. Okay, what length of screw do I use with the Hemera? So for the Hemera, they have these little, you're never going to be able to see that, there's little square cage nuts that you slide into the grooves on the Hemera here and here, on the side that you want to mount it. And then point that back. Looks like that's going to be too deep, so it looks like, what, a 6 and 3x6? And 3x6 is awfully short. Oh, there are screws with the Hemera kit to use. Gotcha. Now I just got to find the right. If I can get. Find the right tip to my driver here. Yeah, Wade, I have to take this off. I can. How am I going to do this? Okay, I see the problem. The problem is my spar that I mentioned that I was testing is firmly in the way of getting to the bolts for this. So I have to take my spar off. It's the end of that experiment. Which will affect no one else ever at any time. That's what I get for experimenting. That's gone. Yeah, I realize that, Wade. Can't pull the mount off to get to it, so there was no choice but to remove that spar. There was no way to get to the mounting holes with it there. That will help a ton with access. It was a fun experiment while it lasted. Literally did nothing to help the prints. Okay, back to where I was. So much easier to get to things. One cage nut. There we go. That's two. Trying to keep up with all this stuff. Find more of the E3D bolts for mounting the Hemera. Yeah, I'm going to have another interesting issue when I go to install that fan shroud because my bed's too high, so I have to power up and run the bed down and then put the fan shroud on. Where's the other bolt? Huh. Looking through all the Hermes parts, I only see 3 bolts. Well, shoot. For now, I'm going to cheat and use one of my own M38s because I don't see their other bolt. If I find it, I can always swap it later. Man, that's going to be hard to get to that last one. How do you do that, Wade? Very carefully, apparently. There we go. Almost. Hey, it's in. Okay. Hemera. Thank you, European company that isn't being named, is on. And there's going to be my issue. My stepper motor wire is going to be very, very short. And there is no slack at all in that. So I'm going to have to replace that. And I'm going to have to run the fan wire back, as I mentioned. Fits on there nice. I like it. Okay. In the meantime, what have I done? In the BLTouch here. That long fan wire is really annoying. Am I going to be all right? Do you guys have your wires running up in front of the fan on this side of the Hermes, or did you run them some other way? I guess that's the nicest way to run them. They'll be blocking the fan somewhat. That's how E3D shows them in their docs. Oh, I could do that, Tim. Yeah, I have spare stepper wires that are longer. Oh, I had figured out this needed to be a 10. Yeah, I can do that with both the fan and the stepper wire easily enough. Okay, so BLTouch mount. I'm worried I'm going to pinch that fan wire. Where'd the other tip for this go? Okay. Yes, I believe the E steps will be different because this is a 1.8 degree stepper. I'm thinking it's probably 3-to-1 gearing. So the E steps will be half of what they are now. Since we use, it's actually not because of the Bondtech, it's because of the stepper that they use. We use a 0.9 degree stepper and they use a 1.8 degree. It's pretty tight fit there. I have no feeling for where the hole for this is. Looks like I'm too low. not go in anything, or if it did, it didn't grab. Nope, that was too high. Oh, I lost it. Okay, so mounting the BLTouch is a little bit of a challenge on this because I can't see what I'm doing. I'm blind once I'm down to it. No, Wade, you're going to write the firmware update instructions. In for penny, in for pound, buddy. All right, that threaded in fine now. Push that all the way down, put that up. I always start with my BLTouch all the way down in an adjustable mount, and then raise it as needed rather than the other way. Personal preference. Okay. Need to put the wire guide that Wade made. Bolts right here. Quick little print. I printed all of the parts for this, the fan duct and everything today. I used Snow Labs Carbon Fiber PC Plus. Got some beautiful prints I posted on my Twitter account if you haven't checked them out. Came out just stellar. There we go. All right, so this will all mount here. Hot end will reach thermistor. Thermistor will reach. Yeah, other than the stepper motor cable and the fan funkiness, I think we'll be in good shape. We'll connect those up. I have to tidy all this up later, but yeah, that'll work. I think I'll bolt it or zip tie it just like that on the side there, so it's a little out of the way of the filament guide, filament tube. Guess I might as well run this fan wire up at the same time. Yeah, Tim, it really annoys me they did that. Got rid of that connector. I'm not buying the reliability thing. I've had a lot of those. They've never failed me. There's an aftermarket product for you, Tim. Fans with a better with the connector back on them. Okay, so run this back. Of course, now I have to think where my extra stepper motor cables are. I know I have some. Now to look for them. Most likely place is right here in this giant bundle of cables. If I find the stepper motor cable, though, I should be able to be turning pretty quickly. I don't think there's any other items standing in the way. Look at that. First place I looked even. That's a holiday miracle right there. Of course, I could have used the one E3D sent. Might be long enough. Probably the exact same one from LDO. I forgot they sent one. Zip ties. Okay, zip tie. I will definitely be going through, running this through the conduit, the wire wrap, and tightening all this up at some point. It's got to look pretty, but for now, this will be fine. I'm not even going to run it down through that grommet at this point. I'm just going to pull my electronics box side panel off and leave it off for now. This is my Duet 3 base printer. So that, of course, will be quite a bit different than the kits that ship with the Duet 2. I don't know if at some point Tim will add the Duet 3 as a direct option or not. We don't have an official RailCore kit config for the Duet 3 at this point. I have published my RailCore 250 config. It works pretty closely. Oh, you said it does have the Duet 3. So let's see here. I would have to figure out what's that wire going to look like. I will have to check my config to figure out which one of these is which. Somebody didn't label anything. It was me. Okay. We'll figure that out momentarily. Got the Hemera mounted Endstop's on, BLTouch is on. What else am I missing? I got to mount the fan, but to do that, I got to power on the printer and move the bed down. Is there anything else I need to do before I do that, Tim or Wade, that I'm not thinking of? The thermistor's connected, heater's connected. I think everything's attached. Get all this hardware off the bed. Okay, I'm going to power on, so there's going to be some fan noise here in a minute. Takes the Duet 3 just a little bit to power up. Has to boot the Raspberry Pi first, and then it should be good. I have that BLTouch all the way down, but man, if it doesn't look like that's awfully close to the nozzle tip. Double check I can't move that any. Nope, that is all the way down. Let's see here, if I pull that tip down. Oh no, it's plenty far enough. I was looking at it with the tip all the way up. Probably too low. Yeah, that's going to be way too low, but that's okay. It means we have room for adjustment, which is good. There we go. Now I have room to work on the fan shroud. Where did I put mine? There's the printed fan shroud. So Wade, how does this little adapter shim thing you had me print for the fan shroud fit into the equation? I've got the shroud, got the mount, and I've got this little thing you had me print. How does that work? Fan shroud bolts direct to the bottom of the Hermes mount without, or with the spacer between it. Okay, so I don't need this piece for the printed shroud. I just put that little spacer in and go. Okay. Easy enough. And once again, I used M3x10s for that. Seemed to work well. And if that clears the nozzle, it doesn't by much. Huh. You gave that a close fit to the nozzle, huh, Wade? Well, we'll see how it works. It might hit the bed, might hit the part, whatever. If so, I can adjust. That's why we test. Get my layer fan in. All right. So I need to check my config. Yeah, I mean, one thing I've done in the past for spacers like that is I just sink them into my bed a little bit when I slice them. So you can print them at different thicknesses. And I'll print 3 or 4. I just didn't think about it when I was printing that one. Okay, I gotta check my config here and see where the heck I have things plugged in so I can plug in that stepper. My extruder is in drive 5. And my, say I need the hot end fan. My hot end fan, not my layer fan, is on out 1. So Duet 3 wiring. So extruder 5, out 1. Yeah, the Duet guys, they numbered the outputs on this with out 1, 2, 3, and the extruder drives was 0, 1, 2. So it's a little confusing when you look at it. Okay, so that one and that one. Okay. Okay, turn the power off. Gonna pull out 1 off. Place the hot end fan on. And pull extruder drive 0. This one. And plug that one in. Okay. I really should have moved the bed up before I did that. It's going to take a year to home this thing. So those are both switched. Cut those just because they bug me. Okay. Got a home. Well, let's check the hot end fan first. So I have my hot end fan as a thermostatic fan set at 50C. I'm just going to change it to like 10C. Should turn it on. And did not. The thermistor is working. It shows 18. Oh, that's right. I remember what I did. Well, maybe. Sorry, I'm checking my Duet config here to see what which output it was on. 950 F0 shows as 5. 4. Yeah, I plugged that in wrong spot. Yeah, okay. I plugged that in the wrong spot. I need to see if I have a 3-pin connector. I forgot the fan's a 3-pin connector. I was looking at totally the wrong spot. Let's see. This will take just a second. I don't have to recrimp anything. That's good. The Duet 3 uses 3-pin connectors instead of 2-pin connectors for all the phones. Oh, wait. It may be low enough. I don't know. I didn't try it yet. Oh, that's a totally different connector. That's okay. 3-pin. Hey, Tim. If you're selling kits with the Duet 3, it's going to take a totally different wiring harness. Yeah, it just occurred to me. For me, for tonight, I just switched that connector on the end of the fan to a 3-pin connector. Pull that fan, the old connector I had on there. It's not quite the right connection type, but I don't have to recrimp anything this way. Okay, hopefully I got the right port. Yeah, the fans go from a 2-pin to a 3-pin. That's probably the biggest. Well, the thermistor going to a 5-pin port now. Or no, the thermistors are 2-pin. What is that? Something's into a 5-pin port. Yeah, it's all different. It's not terrible, but and the links will change too. I don't know how close you guys get them. Okay, try this again with the changing it to 10. Hot end fan turns on. That pulls some air. Cool. Hopefully. Okay. I'm a little concerned with the BLTouch and all the wiring there that it's restricting airflow to that fan. Other than that looks good. I've got to tidy up wiring. Obviously, I'm not going to leave the wiring running outside of the printer, but that's okay. I'm ready for M303, I think. M303 H1 S250. Go. So hopefully I'll now see my hot end temperature start to increase. And it is. It's over 20 C now and rising, so that's good. So running the hot end tuning. If you go look up the RailCore parts list, there are crimpers on there. They're fairly basic, but they work. You can get them on Amazon, and they're about 20 bucks each. And there's different crimpers. I've been using them. They're by Iwis is the name of the company. Right there. I did have to increase the default tension a little bit with that bolt, but other than that, they work great. Or if you ask on Facebook, you can get a million recommendations for all kinds of better crimpers. Those are, like I said, fairly basic. Let's see how we're doing. We're up to 180 C. So it works. That's good. I'll probably redo the PID tuning. I usually put the silicone sock on and turn on my fan to about 50% when I do the tuning. But I'm not going to do that this time because I'm just tuning it enough that I can tighten up the block and everything. So, yeah. Cool. Yeah, I didn't do any prep or looking at the Hemera or the mount at all or anything before this. I figured it'd be more fun to learn as I went. So. It's more fun to get made fun of on camera. So our peak temperature was 256.6. Let's see. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to trying the Hemera here, Kim. It looks really promising. At least we'll see how it actually does. But I've been really looking forward to this one. I was very upset they wouldn't give me one for testing. Okay, not very upset, but I would have liked to have been in that early test group. Uh, hey Tim, do you know if we heat tighten these? It's still PID tuning, but I figure if heat tightening is recommended, I should. Oh, do you know if they? I assume you torque it at temperature, like usual. Yeah, can't really fit a wrench against that thing. You get my torque wrench in there. Go ahead and get that out. Nope, my torque wrench is not in its spot. Oh, that's heating up. I'll find my torque wrench. Right. I usually try and get a wrench around the block when I torque them, so I'm not risking bending that brake. But that's a challenge when you have the fan shroud on. I can just pull the shroud off. It's easy to do. Sorry about that. I had to step away for a second. It's still PID tuned. What I use for torquing them is a bicycle torque wrench. I had it already for my bicycle, but I just dial it up to 3 Newton meters, which is the recommended, and away you go. PID tune is done, just finished. And 307 H1 will show it to me. And 500 will save it. That's odd. System. Well, I tried to save it in 500, giving an error. It might be a problem on the Duet 3. Well, N500 doesn't want to work, so I'll edit the E3D by hand real quick. I had this problem before, but I thought they fixed it. I'm not running the latest Duet 3 firmware, so it could be a bug in the version I'm in that's fixed now. Easy to change by hand, though. Constant 268. Dead time of 4.7. Okay. I always bump up my max hot end temperature just in case I go over the 280 I set it to. I'm not coming too close there, so I'll set that to 300. I'm gonna pull this fan off. Yeah, the Mosquito is a great hot end as well. I do really like it. I've had some challenges with PLA, which I end up running a lot of PLA. I want to fix that and start printing more exotic filaments, but haven't gotten to it yet. Just removing my layer fan so I can get a wrench on that, and I'm not so much at risk for breaking the heat right that way. Pop that back there. I think you want to stay there. Just waiting for it to come up to, there we go, 280 now. I always need one more hand than I have for this. That PID tune worked great. It barely moved over 280. Just a little fluctuation there. Of course, I'm about to put a really cold wrench on it. It is torqued. Yeah, I don't have like jamming or anything like that with PLA. I did it first when I first installed it, but solved that pretty quick. The issues I've had with PLA are it just doesn't print quite as clean for me, and that may be, you know, I need to work on my settings, or it may be the hot end. I don't know. PETG and polycarb that I've printed through it has been amazing on Mosquito, but my PLA prints just don't come out quite as clean. I do have a sock to try now, not one of theirs, but Nate Wolf gave me a socket, or if I gotta put on a Mosquito and try. Too many things to test. Now I gotta wait for it to cool down so I can put my layer fan back on without melting it. Yeah, that would cause problems. So once this cools down, I think I could theoretically adjust the nozzle height for the BLTouch and try and print. Might have to invert the extruder direction, maybe. Not sure. Gotta adjust something here. I have a test going on, and gonna take this chance to trim this down. I'm using a little sheet here instead of the usual spacer. That's a little too wide. Just playing around. But the Endstop was running into it. Just a tad bit more. Like I said, this is nothing anybody else has to trim. I'm just playing with the different shim here. There we go. Let's see what temperature that hot end is. Yeah, that's probably a good point. Once it cools down enough, I'll move that end stop if I need to, so I'm not running into anything on the X direction. Y I'll tune later. Just got to reduce that some. clean up some of these bolts I dropped on the bottom of the printer here. It's always boring waiting on the temperature on these things to drop. We're down to 107. A little hotter than I want to touch. Is there any real difference between your shim and the shims he has you print, Wade? Because the ones he has you print are a little thinner. I have a few of those. I think I could stack two of them and have the height of this be about right. I'd rather be higher than lower at first. Should work. Thought I had two of them. Thought I had four of them. Not sure what they'd run into. There's one. Almost down to temperature where I can put this back on. Let's see here. I don't think these will run into anything. Of course, that one's not going to work. Let's all throw them out. I think I left the shims, the rest of the shims on my desk. I'm going to go look for those. I'll be 2 seconds. Okay, they're not there. There's one. There's two. Lots of them. Compare the thickness of two of these. No, I just want one. Okay, one I got on should be good. Okay. Yeah, I'll probably dial this in a little bit better with the shim later, but this will do for now. It actually isn't bad at all, I think. I can get this to thread in here. For some reason, this bolt won't thread in. It's taking me off. There we go. Finally got it to thread in. It might still be too low. Well, we'll try it and see what we get. Okay. I have not found out yet, and we'll check that in a while. His shim worked fine though, Wade. The whole thing does still seem to sit a little on the low side. Sure, that's all tight. We'll see. We'll know when I paper test it. Let's see. So. Okay, so I got to power off and double check my X end stop limit. I actually don't have to adjust that at all. I'm clear of the end screw, lead screws. I'm good. I need to double check that I pulled the right stepper. How can I do that? That has to be the extruder stepper. Wasn't letting me home X. But it would home Y. Why would that be? I don't know. Let's see what it does. So I didn't have to adjust X, which means I didn't lose anything in X versus my stock V6 config on this printer. There is no loss in X. Yeah, I think I'm going to pull that and mount without a shim just to be sure I'm clear. I'd rather be higher on it than needed and lower it later. I think it'll be easier to mount without a shim too. So that's what I was hitting before with the bolt. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, I see what I'm hitting. I'm hitting the bottom of the Hemera mount. That's what's going on, Wade. So, yeah. The shoulder of the fan shroud hits the bottom of your mount. Zero question, that's what's going on. Might have just over tightened it to mount. Okay, check it out from the side. So right here, the fan shroud hits the mount, which is causing it to install at an angle. It is not the one that ships with the kit. It is not the one that ships with the dual wide plate either. So we may need to get a slight modification on that from James. Are you sure yours is okay, Tim? Have you printed with it? Are you using the shim that Wade sent with yours? Or that Wade had you print? Maybe mine was looking low because it was hitting in at an angle. I can put this shim back in and see if that makes a difference. Let me do that. Okay, Wade Shroud plus Wade Shim it is. Maybe I was too quick to judge earlier. Okay, that does lower it just enough it doesn't contact. So maybe I'm okay. So Robert, ringing is really a question of acceleration. If you have ringing, you can just lower acceleration and it should go away. Yeah, okay, Wade, with your shim on, it just clears. If that nozzle is below it, though, it's close. I mean, from the side, you can see it's right there. So we'll see. Okay. Let's see if it's going to let me home this time or if I have the wrong steppers connected. Home all. It moves. Huh. Let me double check. Maybe my comments are backward. I have it marked as drive 5. E5. Didn't change anything about the XY config. I didn't remove those. I only unplugged the E5 stepper. Why is it not homing X? It's telling me my X Endstop is tripped, which means I moved that or plugged it in wrong or something. Let's see. This is unrelated to the Hemera. I goofed something here because It's telling me my X and stuff, which I haven't done anything with, is tripped. I don't think I did anything with it. There we go. I goofed it up. I'm going to put my Gecko Tech back on. Find it. It's going to take a while for Z to home. I had it pretty far down there. Okay, so it's moving again. That's good. It's home Z. Home's XY. Cooking with fire. Okay, hopefully not fire. So that was total user error on my part. I had moved that stepper motor earlier, and when I plug it back in, I plug it in the wrong spot. Almost home. Hey, Thomas. There we go. So now I'm going to do a paper test. I can see I'm way too low. Yeah, that's as far as I can move at this point. I'm at 0. How can I do this? Gotta adjust my BLTouch up because I'm like 4 millimeters off. So, and maybe not 4, but considerably off. Just gonna loosen up the BLTouch and move it down a little, or up a little. Totally precision adjustment there. Gotta change my config so I can go below 0 here. Into okay. Find a flatter piece of paper for doing this. So I'm definitely hitting the, that's not going to work. I can see the fan shroud is against the bed. Yes, I did. Yeah, I'm against the bed with the fan shroud, which obviously is not going to work. So I'm going to need to reprint a slightly thinner shim, maybe. Or make some adjustment there, because this, I can't do a paper test. I can't print. Trying to think what other options I have. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to stop here. Either sand down that shim or print a new one, and then reset and retest. I do have maybe a millimeter or so of clearance, so I should be able to raise that shroud up a little bit and try this again. Could be a slight difference in the shroud print between the resin and yeah, there's, like I said, there's about a millimeter of clearance on the bracket, so I have some room to play. The other one was just too thin, so I need to be kind of in between the two, so I can measure the thickness of the two and give myself a range and reprint. But what I have going now is not going to work. Here, I'll give you the side view. I'm already hitting the bed, so. And you can see there's a little clearance between the shroud and the Hemera mount, so it's tight, but I can make it work. I can also just lightly sand the bottom of the shroud itself. Just take a little material off of the tips of those, and I'd clear it. But one way or another, something's got to change before I can print. So I'm thinking I probably can't print during this live stream. I will work on that and post an update. Do you guys want me to reopen the live stream when I come up with a solution to that, or yeah, I'll talk to James and see if we can't change that shoulder just a tad to give a little more height adjustment to the duct. And I'm also thinking I might come up with a way to set the height of the BLTouch as well while I'm at it, so that it's not so much guesswork on where that should slide in and out. There's not much wall material on that top curve mount to sand there. It's like very thin at that point. So I apologize. I'm not going to be able to print. I don't think. I can't think of a quick solution here. I mean, I could print without a fan. Just move it to the side, but I think I'd rather just tackle this, take a short break, and then I'll get to printing. Send me a note on Discord if you want me to open up a stream again when I'm printing with it, or otherwise I'll just post some video or whatever we print. So yeah, I think I'm kind of stuck at the moment. Give it a second for any last questions. Initial thoughts before I close out the live stream. The Hemera machining looks great. The fit of the shroud or the mount itself was great. You know, a little learning curve with what to bolt on where, but that's just because it hadn't been done before. So no biggie there. All fit in well. I need to reroute some cables, but that's no big deal. Overall, everything's looking really good. Looking forward to printing with it. I just have to think through and modify something here because I'm clearly hitting hitting the bed with the shroud before the nozzle gets there, so I can't do a paper test and obviously can't print. So I think I'm going to close this down now. My wife actually just let me know as well that we have dinner here. So overall, it's a good stopping point at the moment. I'll solve this and then I'll check back in on the RailCore Discord and might stream for a little bit when I get a first print going. So, or once I have a solution and can work towards the first print again. So, no, there's no play there. It's all nice and rigid, which is what we would want. So, thanks everybody for joining. I'm gonna take a break at the very least, and like I said, I'll look at reopening the stream when I'm ready to print. All right, I'm going to go ahead and end this one. Thanks again, guys, and enjoy your evenings. Thanks for hanging out.